Good day. I am bringing you this music theory class on the platform of English Section Choir, First Baptist Church, Okelerin, Ogbomoso. Welcome to music theory class. Why music theory? I want you to know that what we are doing is biblical, and what we are doing is part of what God wants us to do. God wants us to be trained in music. If you follow the genealogy of Cain, when it got to the line of Jubal, the Bible referred to him as the ancestor of all who play the lyre and flute. So it means that we are training in music, that we are undergoing music training is good and is biblical. Also, if you check First Chronicles chapter 6 verse 32, and the Bible talks about some set of people that were separated by David to be ministering with music before the dwelling place of the tabernacle of meeting. So it is good for us to be trained. It got started in the Bible. And also in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 15, the Bible asks us to study to show ourselves approved unto God, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Whenever we are doing our music, whenever we are singing, whenever we are adding melody, harmony, whenever we are praising God with our songs, I want you to know that we are glorifying God. And music is not all about jumping alone. It's not all about dancing. All those are inclusive, but through music we can share the truth of God to this generation. Through music we can call people to repentance. Through music we can make people to come to the kingdom of God. So we should take this issue of learning music, knowing the know-how of music as something that is very, very important. The Bible is telling us that we should study to show ourselves approved unto God. So we can study in music. We can train ourselves in music. We can make sure that we know the know-how of music so that we will be able to communicate the truth of God excellently to our generation. Apart from the fact that music is biblical, I want you to know that music as a therapy has shown positive results in those undergoing cardiac rehabilitation and drug rehabilitation. Also, music has also helped people who are suffering from asthma, depression, high blood pressure, migraines, and ulcers. Music can help with the production of what we know as melatonin. Melatonin is an important chemical in the body. The use of music therapy in healing has gained much credibility, and its use is increasing on daily basis. I want you to know that whenever we are singing, we are not only opening our mouth to produce soft foundations, to produce melody and harmony, we are fulfilling purpose. We are not only singing when we open our mouth to produce a mixture of softness, melody, and harmony, we are fulfilling purpose. So whenever we train ourselves, whenever we learn music, whenever we are sound in the know-how of music, whenever we do good music, whenever we glorify God through our music, we are fulfilling the purpose for which God created us in this earth. I want you to know that music also has a way of entering through the door that leads into the souls of mortals and the door that leads into the presence of the immortal. Through music, you can touch God. Yes, you can touch God through good music. We're talking about gospel music. Now, this is lecture 1. My name is Oladipo Stephen. I'm your tutor today, and I will be taking you through this lecture. Learning outcomes. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to, number 1, you should be able to define the term staff. You should be able to explain the term line. You'll be able to discuss the term space. You should be able to explain the functions of bar lines, measures, and ledger lines. These are very important terminologies that we use in music, and without them, you will not be able to understand what we are going to be learning later in our lecture. You should be able to describe the space notes and the line notes. You should be able to explain the music alphabets and note names. This is very, very important in music. In music, we have alphabets, and you will be introduced to it later on. Now, let's start from the staff. What is a staff? Music is written on a staff. The plural is staves, and it's spelled S-T-A-V-E-S. It has 5 horizontal lines, and the 5 lines create 4 spaces between them. If you take a sheet of paper and you draw 5 lines, you will discover that in between those lines you have some spaces, and those spaces are also included. They are also very important when music is concerned. So if you just take a blank sheet of paper, if you have it by your side, you can draw it. Just draw 5 lines and check out how many spaces do you have in between those lines. That will give you a blank staff. If you have done what I ask you to do now, you will have something of this nature, and that's an example of a blank staff. So it is very easy. Music is not difficult. Music is not difficult at all. I used to tell people, if you know your A, B, C, D, E, F up to Z, and you can cite it, you can sing it, you can read it, say A, B, C, D, then you can know music. Music is not difficult. Music is not difficult. Music is a language through which you can communicate to people. As you can see, that's an example of a blank staff. You have the lines and spaces. Now let's talk about the numbering of the lines and space. I want you to know that you do not start numbering them from top. You start numbering them from the bottom. Now see, I want you to see where the mouse is now. You start numbering your lines from here. This will be your line 1. This will be your second line. This should be your third line, your fourth line, and your fifth line. Now, in between this first line and the second line, you have a space, and that will give you your first space. I want you to practice an exercise. If you place your left hand in front of your face, if you place it like this, you can have a staff, a picture of a staff. You know, the smallest finger will be your first line. Your ring finger will be your second line. Your middle finger will be your third line, and your index will be your first line. Your thumb will be your fifth line. So you start the numbering of the line from the bottom up, and not otherwise. This is an example of what I'm trying to explain. You can see the line. That's the line 1. You can see line 2. Line 3, line 4, and line 5. And in between line 1 and line 2, you have space 1. In between line 2 and line 3, you have space 2. In between line 3 and line 4, you have space 3. In between line 4 and line 5, you have space 4, the fourth space. And that's an example of a staff with lines and spaces numbered. Let me ask you some questions. How many lines make up the music staff? Secondly, how many spaces in the music staff? How many spaces do you have in the music staff? Third, what is the number of the bottom line? What is the number of the top line? What is the number of the bottom space? And what is the number of the top space? If you really understood what I just explained, and you should be able to answer these questions. And these are the questions. These are the answers to the question. You have the first question. You have 5. The second question. You have 4. You have 1 for the third question. You have 5 for the fourth question, and you have 1 for the fifth question. 4 for the sixth question. Let us move on. Bar lines and double bar lines. To make music easier to read, the staff is divided into sections by vertical lines called bar lines. You know, bar lines are used to divide music into different sections, because if you have the music staff without any section, it will be tedious, it will not be easy to read. And you know, as I said earlier on, music is a language through which you can communicate to people what you have in mind. Music is wonderful. Music is wonderful. It's a language, and you can communicate music. Even I've discovered that you can use music to communicate language, to communicate to somebody that does not even understand your dialect that you speak. You know, because once you start making music, they start shaking, they start moving. So bar lines are used to divide the staff into different sections. There are two types of bar lines. We have the single bar line, and the single bar line is a single thin line from the top line to the bottom line. You will see the example later on. I'll show the example. We have another one we call double bar line, and that one is used to mark at the end of a section or the end of a song. It has a regular sized line in addition to a thicker line close by to the right. Let me show you an example of what I'm trying to say. The first line, as you can see, is pointed on top of the staff. Now that is the bar line. As you can see, those are the example of a bar line. Now towards the end of the staff, as you can see, the mouse is there already. This is an example of a bar line, and it is indicating that the song is this is the end of the song. As you can see, that's the end of the song. So whenever you see this kind of sign, is telling you that yes, the song is ending here. This is the end of the song. Now, in between these bar lines, look at this first bar line. You can see the mouse is indicating it, and this bar line, you have what we call measure. That is the first measure. In between this bar line and this other bar line, you have measure 2. In between this bar line and this bar line, you have measure 3, and the last measure with is measure 4. And that is the way to go about it. I hope you really understand. Measure, that is the area between two bar lines. You know, the area between two bar lines is called a measure or a bar. The same thing. You can call it a measure. You can call it a bar. In music, they are the same. And that's the example of bar lines, double bar lines, and measures marked. Let's learn what we call ledger lines. Ledger lines, they are very important in music. You know, when a note goes beyond the range of a staff, it could be higher, it could be lower. Small horizontal lines are used to show where the staff will be if it had more than 5 lines or 4 spaces. And these are called ledger lines, sometimes spelled ledger line. As you can see, the mouse is pointing ledger lines. You know, sometimes when we are reading music, when we are sight playing or sight reading or sight singing, sometimes a part in the music can go higher than other parts, that you have to create a line because the part is going out of the staff. So that line is used to create additional notes that are not within the staff. Maybe like, let's take for example that soprano. The soprano singers are singing a very high pitch that is more than alto. You know, that is very, very high. You know, alto singers may not be able to reach that type of pitch very high, and because they know the pitch is not within the staff, then we can create an additional line which is above the staff to increase to indicate the notes. And it could happen also for the bass singers. Maybe the bass singers are taking a very low, as you can see, the bass singers sometimes take a very low pitch and they are singing, and and other parts cannot, you know. You just have to create an additional line for them below the staff that may indicate a very low pitch, and use ledger lines for that purpose. Let's see an example. As you can see, the ledger lines are in the first measure. Can you see from the mouse? These are the ledger line. These are the ledger lines. As you can see, I'm very sure this is very low. As you can see, this is another ledger line. For this note, there are 4 ledger lines above the notes, and as you can see here too. So ledger lines are used for that purpose. That's example 4. 4 measures of ledger lines example. Let's go on. I want you to answer this question. If you have followed very well, you should be able to answer this. What is a bar line used for? Where is a double bar line used? The third question, what are ledger lines? The fourth question, what are ledger lines used for? You must be able to understand what they are and what they are used for. Then I want you to do this on a piece of paper, draw a star, make it a fairly long one. Then after doing that, you divide the star into 4 measures. They don't have to be equal length. The bar line should touch the upper and lower lines of the star without going over. You have to take care. You have to take note of this. So now, if you have done that, this answer to the first question. Answer to the second question. Answer to the third question is the answer to the fourth question. Let's move on. Let's move to space notes. A space note fits within a space on a star or between ledger lines. At first, it may be tough to draw a note exactly in a space, but keep at it. If you go over the line, the space note may look more like a line note. Let me explain this by showing an example of what a space note is. Example 4 shows a space note. I want you to look at the mouse. It's pointing. As you can see, these notes they are on the space. They are on the space. You can't see any line across them. When you put a note on a space, as you can see, I'm showing you on the mouse. It means that all these notes are on space. They are not on line note. So any note that is on the space is called a space note. Let's go further. Let's go further. Line notes. Let's talk about line notes. Line notes have a line going through their middle. When you draw a line note, be sure the line notes go through the middle of the line. Otherwise, it might look more like a space note, and that can be confusing. As you can see, this one is different from what I just explained now. Line notes, you have line that's crossing, that is across them. You can see the lines are across these notes. The lines are across these notes. They are across the notes, So that's the difference between line notes and space notes. It's very simple. Notes on the line are called line notes, and notes on the space are called space notes. Let's move further. What about the high and the low? When we are talking about pitch, what a pitch means in music is the highness or lowness of a sound or note. You cannot expect the soprano singers to sing like the bass singers. The soprano singers tends to have a very high pitch when they sing. That's why we have many times we have our females sing. Although we have some males that are singing sopranos, but many a times we have females singing soprano parts because they have a very high pitch. And when you see male voice, they sing bass, they sing very low notes. So there's a difference, but all are working together for good in music. I used to say that there's no way you can say I can't sing. I can't sing. If you are trained, you can sing. If you are trained, if you undergo training, you can sing. If you give an excuse that my voice is I sing a very high pitch, then we can put you in soprano. You say I can't sing as high as another person, although I'm a female, we can put you in alto. You say I'm a male, I can sing very high pitch, you can be put in tenor. And if you say my voice is too deep, I cannot fit in, no, you can sing bass. All we need to do is to undergo training. We have to be trained. We can train our voice. We can go through voice training. We can learn and study the technical, the know-how of music. When we know the know-how of music and we train ourselves and we are ready to sacrifice, what we should in order to get to where we are going, then we should be able to fit in music. We should be able to sing very well, although not everybody is gifted when music is concerned, but we still have people who can do it. So those people singing high, those people singing low, when they come together and sing harmoniously, and it's going to be wonderful. So when we talk about the high and the lowly, we are talking about pitch in music, and that is the highness and lowness of the sound, and that is what we call a pitch. I want you to answer this question. What is a line note? What is a space note? What does pitch mean in music? And these are the answers to the questions. Any note with a line through it is called line note. Any note line on a space is called a space note. And the pitch is the highness or lowness of a note. Now let's go to this very, very, very important aspect in music when we talk about music alphabet. When we were in primary school, primary school or in nursery school, we were introduced to music alphabet, and we used to sing A B C D E F G H and so on and so forth. I don't know if you still remember that. But anyway, in music we have our alphabet too. We have our alphabet. Now the music alphabet uses A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You will never find an H in music or a Q or anything other than A through G. This is one of those few rules that has no exceptions. In music we only have from A to G. That's why you cannot have key H. If you are somewhere and you are singing or you are playing an instrument with another person and you ask the person, what key are you? And they said, I'm on key H. Then you have to get out of that place. That place is not safe for you. So in music, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Those are the alphabet. Those are the 7 alphabets we use in music. After getting to G, the next alphabet will be A. It won't be G. It won't be H. Sorry. So after your G, the next alphabet is A. So those are the alphabet we use in music. Now I want you to look at the figure above. If you draw a staff, you draw lines and the notes. Don't worry. Don't worry yourself about the clef. Something that look like a ring bomb or earth bomb. That's the left side. Don't worry about it. But I just want to introduce you to the notes and the letters on a staff. As you can see, this is a line note. Remember we just introduced ourselves to it. It's a line note, then we have a space note following. And then after the space note, we have a line note. After the line note, we have the space note again. After the space note, we have line note again, and like that. And the first on this staff, considering a treble clef, is E. The next following is G, is F. Sorry. After F, you have your G, you have your A, B, C, D, E, F, G. As you can see, there's nothing like H. After G, the next alphabet is A. After A, you have your B, you have your C, you have your D, E, F, G, and so on and so on and so forth. If this staff were to be longer than this, the next note will be A. So I want you to take note of that. Let's move on. Let me ask you some questions. What letters are used to name notes in music? What are the letters? I just told you. What are the letters? Can you still remember? All right. What letter comes after G? And these are the answers to the self-assessment questions. The letters we use to name notes in music are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I hope this number 2 you won't write H. Lecture 2. My name is Oladipo. I'm your tutor. I'll be taking you through this lecture. Remember that in the previous lecture, you were introduced to why you need to study music theory, the functions of bar lines, measures and ledger lines, spaces and notes lines, music alphabets and note names. But in this lecture, you will be introduced to a music piece, clefs, different types of clefs, like C clef, treble clef, bass clef, and rhythm clef. As we go on, let me first of all introduce you to a music sheet. Whenever you see a music sheet, if you are a music student, you should be able to understand different things written on the music sheet. Let's take, for example, you were given this type of sheet. A title is written on the sheet. Under it, you have a name, a number. At the left side, at the right side, you have some names written with years, certain years from one year to other. You have the number and so on and so forth. It is very, very important for us to understand as a music student the functions and the reason why all these things are included in the music sheet. So I'll be taking you through different things that are written on the music sheet, and I will be explaining them one after the other. And you'll be seeing some red arrows that will be pointing to different things on the music sheet. Let's say, for example, the red arrow is pointed to the number of the hymn, that is in 244, or it could be another. It may not be hymn. The music sheet may not be from a hymn, but I will be using the Baptist hymnal as an example. When you see 244 by the left side of the hymn, it means that is the hymn number. So for this hymn or for this music sheet, the number is 244. Then you have this second arrow that is pointed to a name. The name is Anna L. Babuald, and that is the name of the author of the hymn. That's the name of the author of the hymn. And as you can see, Come Says Jesus, Sacred Voice, that is the hymn title. That is the title of the hymn. Now, under the title of the hymn, there's something is written, H-O-R-T-O, Horton. That is the tune name. That is the tune name. That is the name of the tune. If you play this hymn now, or if you play this music sheet, the tune that we give you is named, and the name is Horton. And in front of that name, you have a number 7777 with dots. You have 7 dots, 7 dots, 7 dots, 7 dots. That is the tune meter. Most often, after writing the tune name, the tune meter will be written in front of it. You have another name that is written at the right side of the sheet, music sheet, or the hymn. This particular music sheet, that is the name of the composer, and this is the one who gave this this music, who gave it a tune. He gave it a tune. The word was written by Anna L. Babuad, which is at the right side, at the left side, sorry, and the one that is written, the name that is written at the right side is the person who gave a tune to the words that were written by Anna L. Babuad. So whenever you see music sheets of this form, the one that is the name that is written at the left side is the author of this particular music, and the person that is written at the right side, that is Xavier Skindia. That is the name of the person who gave the tune. So the 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 wordings who gave the tune to the wordings of the music of this particular music. So whenever you see it that way, the person that is written at the right side, at the left side, sorry, at the left side is the author. The person that is at the right side is the composer. So it is possible for somebody to write out some words in form of poets and some other things, and it is possible for another person to come around and give a tune to that which is written already. And whenever you see the name written at the left side, that is the author. The name at the right side is the composer. He gave the tune. And after that, you will see this next arrow is pointing to a particular two stars, as you have been introduced to what a star is in the first lecture. This arrow that is pointed is showing the first system, because on this star you have two stars. On the first star you have a treble clef, on the second star you have a bass clef. All together make up a system, and you can see that is the second system underneath. Let's go on as we introduce ourselves to a clef. What is a clef? A clef is a symbol used at the beginning of a music staff to tell the reader which letter name goes with which line or space. It is very important for us. A clef is one of the most important things in music. There's no way we can really know which note we should play or which note we should sound if we do not recognize it. We cannot recognize a clef, because the clef help to give names to the lines and the spaces of a particular music piece or a clef or a staff. There are several different kinds of clefs. We have C clef, we have treble clef, we have bass clef, we have rhythm clef. These are different examples of clef, but most importantly, there are two very common types of clef that we all are familiar with, and those are the treble clefs and the bass clefs. I know some people have not even heard about the C or the rhythm clef before, but if you're a percussionist, you will have heard about the percussion clef before, and C clef too should be familiar, but the most common is the treble clef and the bass clef. I want to show you the example of the C clef. That is the picture of the C clef. That is how it looks like. Then the treble clef looks like this. You should be able to draw each of these clefs. They are not difficult. If you get yourself familiar with it and do it over time, if you do it over time, you should be able to get it. Then it is very important for you to note the lines on which these clefs are drawn. They are not just drawing it on any line, so you have to take note of it. Look at this clef. The mouse is pointed to this clef. You can see that the clef is resting, or is under the third line. So it is very important for you to take note if you want to draw it. So it is not difficult. You just draw it. You can practice that on a separate sheet of paper. You draw it several times, and over time you get it. Another clef is the bass clef. Here you have to take note of this like a full column. It's like a full column, and in between those columns you have the line. There's a fourth line in between them, so you have to take care of all this. Take note of all this. Rather, they are very, very important. That's the bass clef. Then we have the rhythm clef. The rhythm clef, that's the figure. You can see it's like you are drawing 11 across a staff. It's very simple to draw. Now let's take the clef one after the other. Let's talk about the C clef first. That's the figure. That's how it looks like. The C clef isn't used much anymore, except by viola players and occasionally trombone and baton players. The C clef is occasionally used by baton players, the trombone players, and viola. All those low pitch most of those low pitch instruments make use of C clef. I want you to know that the big arrow pointer is the middle. In the middle is what tells you which line or space is C. This type of clef is a bit complex, more than the treble clef and the bass clef, because it is movable. Where this arrow, as you can see from the mouse, is pointing at, if it is pointing at line 2, it means that your C is on line 2. If it is pointing at line 5, it means that your C is on line 5. So it is movable. This type of clef, C clef, is movable. Wherever the arrow, this arrow that I'm showing with the mouse, points, maybe if it points on the line, maybe on the first line, it will be the first line will be C. If it points on the first space will be C. So it is movable. It's not like treble clef or bass clef that is constant, that starts from a constant place. The C clef is different than other clefs and can be confusing at first because it's a movable clef. Let's go further. There are 4 types of C clefs. You know, I just said it now that C clef is movable, is moving, and therefore, because it's moving, there are 4 types. As you can see, the first arrow is pointing to the first line, which means the C start from the first line. In this case, you do not have any any line does not have any constant name or for the clef. It depends on where the middle of the clef points at. That's the soprano clef, and this is the alto clef. You know, it is pointing to the 4th line, and it means that the 4th line is the C. This is pointing to the 4th line. That is for the tenor. The tenor and the alto, they are pointing to the same line. This is pointing to the 3rd space, and that is the vocal tenor clef. And these are the 4 types of C clef that we have. Let's move forward. Let's talk about treble clef. Treble clef is very important. That is the shape of treble clef. You should be able to draw it. Just take a separate sheet of paper and practice it over time, and you will know how to draw it. And this is when the treble clef is on the star. And I want you to, as I said the other time, I want you to take note of how it is drawn on the star. You don't just draw the treble clef making it to start on any line. It must start on a particular line, and as you can see, that is how it should be. Treble clef is used for instruments with a high pitch. Some of them are piccolo, flute, clarinet, oboe, guitar, violin, French horn, saxophone, trumpet, and piano. Let's talk about bass clef. The bass clef is similar to a shape like you want to write 9, and after it you have a full column, and you have to take note of that full column. If you want to draw it on the star, the full column should be in between the 4th line, because the treble clef is naming the 4th line, and the bass clef is naming the 4th line, and it's very important for us to take note of that. The second most common clef, the bass clef, uses both the head, that is the bulbous part, and those 2 dots to indicate which line it's named. So it's naming the 4th line. Bass clef is used for instrument with a low sound, incomparable to that of treble clef, which is used with instrument with high pitch. This one, the bass clef, is used for instrument with a low sound. Some of them are tuba, cello, double bass, trombone, baton, electric bass, and piano. And they use the bass clef for bass part 2 in singing, whereas treble clef is used for soprano and alto. There's no fixed arrangement for it. Sometimes you can use the bass clef for tenor and bass part 2, but many a times the treble clef is used for soprano, alto, whereas the bass clef is used for tenor and bass part. Let's go on. The rhythm clef, that is the figure for the rhythm clef. That's how to the rhythm clef is very, very easy to draw. All you need is to draw a star and put a sign like 11, but you have to note you put 11 sign, you just write 11 and that's it. But you have to note that it's cutting across only 3 lines at the middle of the star. It's cutting across those lines. You have to take note of that. All the other clefs show the letter name of the line except the rhythm clef, because they are being used by percussionists. So there's no clear pitch, when it comes to percussion, because the instruments that use this clef have no clear pitch. There's no need for letters written. So letters to be written on them, they are not like the treble clef or bass clef, where you have your first line, maybe E, you have your second line, it's a particular letter. When it comes to the rhythm clef, because those instruments do not have a clear pitch, you do not use letters. You do not use letters for them. Let's move on. Some instruments that use rhythm clef, they are drum cells, small percussion, tambourine, maracas, clefs, triangle, and so on and so forth. At this juncture, let's solve some questions. Let's answer some questions. What's a clef? What does a clef do? What are the 3 most common clefs? You should be able to answer this question if you have understood what I just introduced to you now. The first, the clef is a symbol used at the beginning of a music style to tell the reader which letter name goes with line or space. And the second question, you can use a clef to name the line of the star, thereby setting the names of the other lines and spaces. Then that is the answer to the third question. Now we want to learn mnemonics for treble clefs lines. This is very important, because if you do not know the name for treble clef lines and treble clef space, and the names of bass clef lines and bass clef space, it will be difficult for you to be able to identify how to sight read or how to understand a music piece. For the treble clef, you have the names of the line as E, G, B, D, and F. The first line with treble clef is the E line. The second line is the G line. The third line is the B line. The fourth line is the D line, and the fifth line is the F line. Now, if you look at the mouse, the treble clef names the second line because it circles around the second line. It encircles the second line, and that's why sometimes they call the treble clef the G clef. So sometimes they can call the treble line as G clef because it names that second line, which is the G line. So there's another name you can use for it, which is the G clef. That is the treble clef line names. But if you want it to be easy, so that you would be able to memorize it easily, you can have a mnemonics for it, like my own. I'm using every, good boy does fine, which is E, G, B, D, F. every good boy does fine. Whenever I see a staff with treble clefs, I will be able to understand uh, very, very quickly what the name of the first line is and what the name of the fifth line is. I can easily pick it by using my mnemonics. Every good boy does fine. It is not compulsory that you use my own mnemonics. You can derive your own. You can derive your own. You can. Let's go to mnemonics for treble clef spaces. As you can see, this is staff, and on it you have a treble clef. Now, if you look at the notes on each space, you can see the first note is on the first space, the second note is on the second space, and the third note is on the third space. Likewise, on the fourth space for the fourth note. And the first note on the treble clef is called the F. The second is A. The third is C. And the fourth is E. So it's not difficult if you want to find a mnemonics for it. Even instead of using that, you can just call it face. Your face or my face. Anyone you like is face. And this is very simple. You can also call the treble notes, the treble clef, the G clef, because if you look at the mouse here, you can see if you look at the treble here, you see it encircles the second line. It means that it names this second line. That's why some people refer to the treble clef as the G clef. So instead of saying the treble clef, sometimes you can call it the G. Instead of calling it the treble clef, you can call it the G clef. They are the same thing. Let's go to the bass lines. The mnemonics for the bass line. The first line is G, the second line is B, the third line is D, the fourth line is F, and the fifth line is A. You can derive any mnemonics that will be easy for you. Like mine is good boy does fine always. G for good, B for boy, D for does, F for fine, A for always. It will help me to remember. You can have your own too. That will help you to remember the names of the lines one after the other. Know that the treble clef is also called the F clef. Now, if you come here, look at the mouse. In between this full column, you have a line. And the name of the line is called the F line. That's the F line. That's why the bass line is also referred to as the mnemonics for the bass clef. As you can see, the names are A, C, E, G. The first space is A, the second space is C, the third space is E, and the fourth space is G. So if you want to get a mnemonics for it, it depends on the one you like. For me, I use All Christian and Large Gospel. So depending on you can find a simple one. And I hope it will help you to be able to remember it quickly. Thanks for listening. I hope that you have enjoyed these lectures. We are going to bring you more series later on, but we want you to work on this one.